The extreme lengths these wrestlers have gone through to take down the once beloved Hulk Hogan. Wrestling fans, get ready for an unforgettable experience that will leave you speechless. Number 10, Macho Man Randy Savage. The feud between Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan is one of the most intense rivalries in wrestling history. Hogan's scripted protective nature over Miss Elizabeth caused tension between the two on screen, which then spiraled into a vicious feud that lasted for years. Things became very real. Savage's jealousy was off the charts, and he openly blamed Hogan for his divorce from Miss Elizabeth, causing a rift that would never truly heal. The real-life animosity spilled over for decades.
All your Hulkamaniacs are knocking on your door. They're saying, be a man, Hogan. If I mention your name over the airwaves and you come see me and you mention my name back, we got a match.
With Hogan and his ex-buddy Bo the Love Sponge taking advantage of their radio time to make fun of Savage in a juvenile way. Savage responded by releasing a scathing rap song about him in 2003. Fans of both wrestlers were torn, with some sympathizing with Savage's jealousy and others supporting Hogan's protective nature. Their feud was a reflection of the intense emotions that wrestling can evoke, with rivalries that can last a lifetime. As Savage himself put it, sometimes what goes on behind the scenes is stronger than the soap opera on the video scope. And his feelings towards Hogan were certainly stronger than anything else that played on TV.
Where Hogan messed up too. You know, he became a prima donna, he believed his own publicity, he became a legend in his own mind. Instead of going in the locker room and shaking everybody's hand, he'd go in his own room right there and stir it up.
Number 9, Bret Hart. Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan's animosity towards each other dates back to WrestleMania 9, where Hogan defeated Yokozuna and then refused the championship storyline with the Hitman. Hogan never put Hart over, which hurt the Hitman deeply. And since then, whenever there's a microphone in front of Hart's face, he makes sure to bury him, calling him a phony piece of shit and claiming that Hogan was one of the worst 3 wrestlers and he didn't know very much.
When the boss of the company says you're getting the belt, it means I've earned the spot to become the highest paid guy in the company. And Hulk Hogan takes it upon himself to redirect my fate and say, no, you're not getting it. He's going to get the main event money and you're still in the middle of the card or wherever.
Hart's bitterness towards Hogan is palpable and he shows no signs of letting it go. Hart's highly technical approach to wrestling inspired many stars of subsequent generations, including Edge and Natalya, who still wrestle to this day. Hogan, on the other hand, was limited in wrestling abilities. He can only make himself look good. Number 8, Scott Steiner. The feud between Scott Steiner and Hulk Hogan is one of the ones that's been brewing for many years, with deeply rooted animosity between the two wrestlers. According to Steiner, the conflict began in their early days in TNA, where Hogan was more interested in promoting his own brand than helping the company. In 2011 interview, Steiner did not mince words when speaking about Hogan, calling him the biggest scumbag in the business, bar none. He's a thief, a liar, and a cheat. Steiner's feelings are only intensified over the years. In an alleged incident where he threatened Hogan's family resulted in Steiner's ban from the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony that year.
Lying piece of shit he is. You know, he tried to get me arrested last year at WrestleMania because he said I have this wife, threatened to kill him. Because he actually went to the San Jose Police Department and that motherfucker tried to put me in jail.
Steiner's hatred for Hogan also dates back to the time in WCW, where he claimed that Hogan held him back and prevented him from reaching the top of the company, was threatened by his popularity and asked Eric Bischoff to hold him down. Steiner's hatred toward Hogan is well known in the industry. According to Steiner, Hogan didn't care about anything else but his own ego. Steiner claimed that Hogan would always try to bury other wrestlers who would never let them get over. He also stated that Hogan always put himself in the best storylines and didn't want to share the spotlight with anyone. While some might say that Steiner is holding a grudge, his statements about Hogan are backed up by many other wrestlers who have worked with Hogan, including Steve Austin, who said that Hogan was always trying to get himself over at the expense of others. Number 7, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Once upon a time, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan were two of the biggest WWE stars in history. Fans eagerly anticipated a showdown between the two legends, but it never happened.
The thing about never having to run with Hogan, guys, man, I was running so hard back then, hard-headed as hell. You know, the word on the street that, you know, he wasn't never going to do any favors for anybody. I damn sure wasn't going to do any favors for anybody who wasn't going to favor back, if you know what I'm saying.
According to Jim Ross, Austin did not believe that Hogan could keep up with his intense, aggressive style. The match would not live up to the hype. On the other hand, Jim Cornette believes that Hogan did not want to lose to Austin. Hogan himself declared that Ric Flair was the greatest wrestler of all time and ranked him second, with Austin third. Austin's refusal to work with Hogan frustrated WWE officials who believed in the WrestleMania match between the two would result in a great payday. According to Eric Bischoff, Austin believed that Hogan's style was incompatible with his, so he never pushed for the match. In the end, the dream match remained just that, a dream. Number 6, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels had a famous feud with Hulk Hogan in the summer of 2005. However, the battle between the two legends was from different eras and resulted in one of the most controversial moments in wrestling history. Shawn Michaels was frustrated with Hogan's political maneuvering, his part-time status, and that Hogan dropped out of their Best of 3 series days before the pay-per-view. Michaels claimed Hogan's on-camera personality was vastly different from his off-camera self. Michaels wanted a babyface versus babyface match, but Hogan didn't want that. Instead, he wanted Michaels to turn heel. Hogan thought that he could make more money if he were a babyface. Michaels was the heel. McMahon talked Michaels into it. During a Monday Night Raw, Raw, Michaels and Hogan were teaming up against Carlito and Hurt Angle. Hogan got into the ring and pinned Carlito after a leg drop. As the two celebrated, Michaels hit Hogan with a super kick out of nowhere. Michaels also mocked Hogan's age and went on a fake Larry King show pretending to be Hogan, talking about how old he was. Michaels cut one of the best promos of his entire career in Montreal, mocking Bret Hart and admitting he did it on purpose.
So that day, and I will admit this, I took the bear all day. You know what I mean? I was, I already knew what I was going to do. I was going to go out there and do business, but I was going to make him earn it. Just to be a pain in the butt all day. And that was something I did just for my own enjoyment. That isn't right, it isn't professional, but it is the truth.
Hogan and Michaels were supposed to have a trilogy match, with Hogan winning the first, then Michaels winning the second, and then having a cage match which Hogan would end up winning. However, depending on who you listen to, Hogan said that he fought for that, but Michaels sabotaged it due to his actions. Michaels and Hogan's feud brought out the worst in both men, and the match never lived up to the fans' expectations. Number 5, Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston and his friends Big E and Xavier Woods have never been shy about expressing their disdain for Hulk Hogan, and for good reason. Hogan was banned from the Hall of Fame in 2015 due to his racist language. Despite WWE reinstating him in 2018, Kingston and his friends have not forgotten or forgiven Hulk's actions. In a statement released on Kingston's official Twitter account, the New Day addressed Hogan's return to WWE, saying, "Someone makes racist and hateful comments about any race or group or family, especially to the degree that Hogan made about our people. We find it difficult to simply forget. Their stance serves as a reminder that racism has no place in any aspect of our society, including professional wrestling." Number 4, Vince McMahon. The relationship between Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan has been tumultuous over the years. Hogan worked for WWE for years, created differences. Hogan claimed that McMahon didn't know how to write for him, and McMahon wanted him to take the story in a direction that Hogan didn't want. Hogan left WWE and then signed with New Japan. Hogan returned in 2005, only to leave in 2007. He signed with TNA in 2009, which was WWE's biggest competitor at the time, which made McMahon furious. McMahon said Hogan was never about the business, he was always about Hogan. Number 3, Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan were two of wrestling's biggest stars. They faced each other at WrestleMania 6, where Warrior won the match and the title. The event marked the first time Hogan had been beaten cleanly and decisively. After the match, WWE expected the Warrior to take the torch and run with it, but unfortunately, he did not have enough juice or a big enough fan base to be the next generation's Hulk Hogan.
You know that I know the real you. You know that I know what kind of malicious and backstabbing operator you are.
Many stories have surfaced about the Warrior's diva attitude and contract demands, which may have contributed to WWE not getting behind him like they did Hogan.
On the other hand, you have a long-running reputation for being a liar and a fraud and a phony. Value mean nothing to you in your life.
The Ultimate Warrior was picked as the cover athlete for WrestleMania 2K. WWE, Vince McMahon, and Ultimate Warrior made amends. And Ultimate Warrior was then inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. And it was at this Hall of Fame where him and Hogan forgave each other. Number 2, Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura and Hulk Hogan were once friends, but their relationship turned sour over time. He held Hogan responsible for derailing the company's attempt to transform, as he attempted to form a union for professional wrestlers, and he ratted them out to Vince McMahon. In an interview with Wrestling Inc., Jesse Ventura revealed how he found out about Hogan's betrayal. "I told my lawyers that they could find out how Vince learned about the unionizing attempt. I'd like to know, during sworn opposition, that Hogan was the one who told McMahon." Hogan denies the accusation, but Ventura's animosity toward him has persisted. Ventura may have spouted his mouth off once or twice about McMahon's head disposition. "How did you know?" lawyers asked. "Hogan told me," McMahon responded.
Can't trust him. I'm not friends with anyone I don't trust. I have to have a trust with someone to be their friend.
Hogan, on the other hand, insists that his feud with Ventura started while they would join WWE. Prior to Hogan coming in, I got along great with Jesse. When Jesse came in to do TV, we'd go out to dinner, have cocktails, Hogan said. He was a Minnesota guy. We had a lot in common. There was a negative or resentment or something in Jesse that made him kind of a downer and kind of miserable to be around. Despite the feud, Hogan still had respect for Ventura. I dig Jesse. I don't always agree with him, and oftentimes I don't. But he's a smart guy. He had a tremendous amount of success and a good career. I don't dislike Jesse. I dislike what I had to go through with Jesse. Number 1, The Undertaker.
I mean, it started out bad and just it progressively got worse.
The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan have a long-standing rivalry in the wrestling industry, which began after the two had a match in 1991. Hogan claimed that The Undertaker injured his neck during the match, but The Undertaker accused Hogan of lying. During a recent interview, The Undertaker revealed that he still has a grudge against Hogan, and did include his name in the Mount Rushmore, but did it begrudgingly.
You know what?
Right.
It is what it is.
I mean, in the 80s...
Yeah, brother, he's the golden goose, man.
Right.
I mean, it didn't get much bigger than